resources are
Nobody here came with a check. That's not what we expected. This was more about ideas and opportunities, and the Congressman and I thought it would be a good idea to round up the heads of all the regional federal agencies and to talk about the offshore wind opportunities in New Bedford. The opportunities in this industry here in New Bedford really cut across every facet of city life, ranging from workforce training to job development to neighborhood planning, you name it. And so we had a really robust discussion. We've talked about in some detail about the nature of the opportunities and what it means for New Bedford, what it's meant for similar communities in Europe, so that we have a sense of how it all might play out here. And then we did a tour of the facility, of the area where the facility will go, so that everyone could orient themselves. And then we came back and had a working lunch in which we had some really good discussions about how some of the opportunities might be supported through federal funds and expertise. So yeah, I really want to thank, and I know the Congressman feels the same way, thank all the agency heads for their commitment and their support in these efforts. And even though we live in a time where we're facing a sequester in Congress of funding for a lot of important programs, I think there will still be opportunities for federal funds to really make a difference here in New Bedford. I think the biggest takeaway from this conference is that when you have an alignment of the state and local and federal governments on key problems, a lot of good things can happen. Resources can be brought to bear in very targeted ways. And it might all seem cliche, but it really can work. And what you've seen here isn't something that's going on in too many places around the country. When we all sort of sit down at every level of government and think through these problems. So this has been a very productive conference, and one we're going to follow up on at a staff level in the near term, and then perhaps somewhere down the line huddle up again to see where we are.
Yeah, this is the modern day version. If you went back in time in our country, where all of a sudden someone said, did some engineering work and said, "My God, we're sitting on an oil reserve. Let's bring in the drilling." Well, we're in a different time in our country now, but we're sitting on an energy reserve just outside our shores here that's akin to that. And we brought every major group and every major player here at the local, obviously with the mayor's leadership and Matt Morrissey, his leadership here at the in New Bedford, the Patrick administration and Bill White, who was here in this area, and virtually every federal agency that involved. And the people that came from the federal agencies, just so people might be aware, are the high-level people in our whole region, not just surrogates that were attending a meeting. This was a working meeting to harvest an opportunity that is unprecedented in our area. And New Bedford is in a very special place at the center of this because of their natural resources. A deep water harbor, rail, proximity to this energy source, and significantly the hard work of a city that's gone planning for these moments to come. This isn't an initial meeting. This is part of the work in progress. And if we can continue working cooperatively, we'll be successful because the more you coordinate, the more you work together, the more you can leverage resources, particularly at a time of very scarce resources, the better your chances of succeeding. So we're going to have, we took advantage of all those opportunities, but it didn't happen by accident. This wasn't just calling some people together. This is a result of some hard work that's gone on for some time by the city, moving this city forward to become not only in the Commonwealth, but the leader in the country in terms of offshore renewable energy.
So does everybody have homework here today?
Yeah, we do have homework. Right? We've got to dig down, especially in the city. We've got to think about some of the ideas that have been thrown out today, and think about where they might fit in the plan. The plan is evolving all the time. This is all new. Offshore wind's been around in Europe for about 20 years, but it's just starting out here in the United States, so it's very fluid. So as much as we are planning, we're trying also to be opportunistic and flexible. So we've got to, and some of the opportunities lie with federal funding. We might want to shape the plan in light of where the federal dollars are. So and to talk, to have an open discussion with potential investors, supply chain companies especially, about how federal funds might advance their business interests.
And the other thing, the cross-pollination that occurred here with agencies was very impressive. This just reinforced the fact that in the course of our discussions, one agency would say, well, this is what I have planned. The other agency would say, well, that helps me do my job. For instance, some of the EPA issues, you need the same kind of trained personnel that you would to do some of the renewable energy and the offshore engineering that's there as well. Some of the Army Corps of Engineer issues will be redundant too. So this is something where everyone being in the same room, I think, will have an attitude that this is well organized, this is something that will go forward, and this is something that will benefit my agency by their mission. One of the things with EPA, certainly, that came through today is they're going to prioritize cleanup projects that yield the greatest economic payback. So they're doing this not only for environmental reasons, they're doing it for economic development reasons, and that's something that was reinforced with members here from Labor and HUD and Small Business Administration personnel. So this all fits together, and it might seem complicated having so many agencies together, but certainly the city has done their homework to put this together.
Yeah, I think what's key to all this, what's central to all this is a big idea, and that is, how can a mid-sized American city in the early 21st century renew itself? The cities of New Bedford size all around the United States were built on certain competitive advantages, whether it was proximity to a rail site or to water, or somewhere else where mills could be built and manufactured, textiles and other things. Those were advantages that enable cities to grow. But those geographic advantages don't mean nearly as much as they used to. Because you can ship textiles around the world and produce them far more cheaply in other parts of the world. Having a riverfront it doesn't really mean that much in that industry anymore. So lots of American cities will struggle, and they have struggled, will continue to struggle to find their advantage. What we have here, in a way, is a real advantage, and ironically, it is a geographic advantage. It's about our deep water port, and it's about proximity to the wind, and it's other things too, the infrastructure we have here and the kind of workforce we have here. But it's, at the end of the day, this advantage will enable us, we hope, to rebuild an economic base in the city in which to start growing again, and that has implications for everything we do here. Again, housing, workforce training, recreation, you name it, and that's why it implicates all these federal agencies.
Yeah, the city's presentation today started out by showing that New Bedford's prominence historically came from the sea, came from the economies that centered around the sea, and how the spin-off effects in financial institutions and others occurred. So today's theme was that the future of New Bedford will come from the economies that come from the sea as well, and that's renewable energy and offshore wind.
You mentioned that you all are stepping away with homework to do, and I understand obviously no decisions have been made, but can we get some specific examples of what you guys are looking into?
So, Willie, maybe you can speak to some of the programs that you mentioned in the course of the meeting. But there are, or Barbara from HUD, but there are a number of pots of money from which the city might draw assistance.
Yeah, we learned how different Tiger grants, different transportation grants could be useful for this. And we certainly knew, I think, ahead of time, EPA's role in this as well. But we learned also that how labor and economic development can come into play as well. So there are avenues we learned that weren't necessarily aware of before that we can pursue. And that's going to continue as we work together as a team.
Yeah, so I think, as we go back, so Willie mentioned a number of, Willie Taylor from the EDA mentioned a number of programs that might assist some of the developments of the bulkhead and as well as infrastructure projects that we might be able to take advantage of. And so we've got to go back and look at what the development of the site is going to look like, and in light of that, whether some of these programs that he mentioned might be relevant to as funding streams.
Well, good afternoon. Willie Taylor, Regional Director, United States Department of Commerce, Economic Development Administration. As the Congressman and the Mayor shared with you today, there's some interest on our end in terms of what we see as viable projects that help move the needle economically here in the community and in the region as well. As they speak to the wind energy piece, that's a very high priority for our department, our agency, in terms of how it helps with job creation, fostering private investment. Some of the more I guess, detailed aspects that we spoke about were infrastructure-related type projects, whether it be water, sewer, bulkhead, those types of projects or scopes of work, if you will, surrounding this project. One of the more meaningful things that we looked at, it is the redevelopment in the region, and it is it has the potential to be another economic engine that they have here in the New Bedford community. So that's one of the interesting points on why EDA was here today, to hear again what the Congressman and the Mayor had to speak about in terms of the project.
You want to say anything?
I'm Barbara Fields, the Regional Administrator for U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and I think our role here is talking about sort of the broader community and investments that can be made, and some already exist with the city, and opportunity to use those resources. We have a loan program called Section 108 that may be used for infrastructure development in the downtown area. And in addition, we have competitive programs like the Choice Neighborhoods program. We're going to talk about whether the city might apply and compete for that, which talks about taking public or other privately owned housing and rebuilding it in a way that connects housing to neighborhoods and the people in that housing to the job opportunities. So I really think the Mayor and the Congressman today have talked to us about their comprehensive approach, and that's our piece that would go together with the other pieces from the other federal agencies.
Yeah, so I think that's it. I just want to thank all the regional heads, Barbara and Willie, as well as Kurt Spaulding from EPA, Charles Samaras from the Army Corps, Sean Regan from the Coast Guard, who's left already, Barbara, Bob Nelson from the SBA, Ray Lopez from the Department of Labor, and others from a variety of agencies who really made this conference a real eye-opener in terms of all the opportunities out there. So, we've got some follow-up to do, but I'm excited about what lies before us. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Moms everywhere are finding ways to keep kids active and healthy. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov.